رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, as I said, inshallah, this is going to be something short just to conclude what we've talked about in the last 2 weeks, which is the issue or the topic of extremism. And I just have few thoughts, inshallah, just to add to it, just to make it full, so that when you leave the topic, you don't feel that something was left unsaid. Or, I mean, especially some few points or ideas that would give balance, inshallah, to it. So a report came recently, and I shared that online, where two academics, at least one of them is an assistant professor, the other one is a PhD student. They did a study on media coverage in the US, what they call terrorist activities. And they studied those who were doing those things, they've committed them, but also the amount of media coverage that each of these events have received. And this came out recently, and it said that when the perpetrator, the one who does violence or terrorism, happens to be a Muslim, the attention increases and the media coverage gets exaggerated 350%. Okay, 350% more. So if an act is committed simply by a Muslim, they said there are other factors as well. But if the religion of the one who is committing such an act, when it is a Muslim, it receives more coverage than any other religion or any other, motivation, by 350%. So this is something, of course, that you as a Muslim, who you're living Islam, you know the community, you understand. I mean, it does not surprise you that there is an attention or there's a focus or an exaggeration of mistakes when committed by Muslims, to the extent that in the mind of many, Muslims are synonymous with violence, synonymous with terrorism, and vice versa. When you're talking about terrorism, the only thing or most what comes to mind are Muslims or Muslims committing such acts. So 350% greater coverage and attention and focus when the person committing these things are Muslim. So of course this has an effect on the non-Muslims and has an effect on Muslims. Because in their study, it spans almost a decade. So from 2005 or 2006 to 2015. They've studied all the incidents and they classified them based on motivation, the religion, and this. The number of, violent acts committed by Muslims, the percentage of all the other acts is about 12.5%. So it means that majority of acts, terrorist acts, were committed by non-Muslims. Okay? So you're talking about 87.5% committed by non-Muslims, and Muslims only commit 12.5% of these acts. Yet from the coverage, what does it feel like? It's all Muslims. And all the other events, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they get buried. They don't receive the same attention, especially when they get sensationalized. Oh, look at him and his motivation, where he comes from, and his family, and his connections, and his roots. So the focus is always about Islam. Even when that person's motivation is not Islam, there has